everybody, June 5th today, and I'm hoping to get some stalls fixed finally. So yeah, I don't know, I got some, this one just totally fell off in the barn. This bottom piece busted, this ripped open. So I pulled this up here, kind of welded that up. I got a new clamp for that. And there's a couple more right alongside it that are kind of breaking, and so these are welded on in the barn right here. Most are supposed to be. This one, the weld broke, and I've been putting bolts through them and making them kind of work. There's one out there that this bottom pipe is busted off. So I want, it'd be nice to be able to get a welder out there that fix that stuff up. I got a little welder, but that doesn't weld on thick metal very good. It doesn't hold that great. So at the end of that last video, I kind of showed that picked up an arc welder. And then we had this real big wire laying in the one shed over there. And I pulled that out, and it's kind of cut in a few spots. But there's one good chunk here of about 20 feet of wire. So I was kind of thinking how I could use it to make that reach farther, and ideally I wanted to just, like the part you weld with in the ground, extend these wires out. But I don't know if, you know, because there's 3 separate wires in that cable, and they're quite a bit thinner than this. I don't know if that's going to screw with the volts or the amps to weld. The ground, it would probably be fine, but the positive one, I don't know if that would have worked. And it really would have been kind of a bugger to, you know, cut this outside coating all the way through and pull that wire out. And I don't know, I thought too I could, you know, just do a couple feet and then use the wire, stick them in the front here, at the other end, splice it and attach it to those. But then I thought, well, those wires get pretty warm when you're welding, and they're basically touching in there. There is insulation around them, but I don't know if that'd be too close together and get too warm and kind of arc against each other. So what I decided to do, I picked up a couple ends here. It's a male and a female end. And we're just gonna plug into the welder and then into the generator with the other end. So basically I got a really thick 20-foot extension cord. The only downside to that is I'm gonna have to pick the actual welder up and move it to where I wanna weld by, which I think is actually pretty heavy, but it's liftable for now. I can lift that for a couple more years yet, I think. So that's what we're doing. I think that's the best and safest route. I can throw that on the generator trailer, pull it down the barn, picked it up, move it into the stalls, and weld like that. Hopefully, I think it should work. I think I got the right ends. So yeah, we're gonna put those ends on there. If I pull that generator up, plug it in, see if it works. Alright, we're gonna hook onto the generator now. So our generator, basically just use it when the power goes out, obviously, and for milking. It doesn't really run the houses or nothing, just the barn. So we really only use it a couple of times a year maybe. But so we got it on an old skid loader trailer that was laying in the weeds that wasn't getting used. We kind of rigged it so it sat on here. The one issue with it, this jack don't work. So whenever we need it, usually power tends to go out while we're milking, so we're in a rush to get it hooked up and get it going again. But you gotta find the high lift jack somewhere. That's usually somewhere where you can't find it. We'll jack it up. You can't set it there because you put it on different tractors. Sometimes whatever's not hooked up. I think we're gonna hook this up, pull it up to the shop. We're gonna find an actual jack and weld on there, so that when we do need this, it's a lot simpler to hook up and stuff. Yeah, then we'll test out that new cord and see if that generator works and throw it on there. Alrighty, old jack off, got the new one lined up. I'm just gonna weld that onto there. Should have a nice new jack on there. New jack hooked up. One more thing off the to-do list. So while I was working on that, our neighbor Dennis brought Tucker home from Bible school. He's kind of checking out what I'm doing. I told him I'm making that longer cord for that welder. And he says, well, if that don't work, I got 2 longer cords that can hook onto your, like the welding and the electrode in the ground. They're sitting over my pig barn. I don't use them much. If you ever want to use them, go right ahead. Well, that would have been nice to know about an hour or two ago. So now I said, I'll see if my thing works here. I didn't try it yet, but I'm just thinking, you know, the 2 ends there, they're 25 bucks a piece, 50 bucks. And the biggest kicker is, this thing probably weighs, I don't know, close to 100 pounds or so, if not more, and just dead weight. That's really gonna be a bugger, like carrying into the feed alley, lifting it out. I think I'm gonna change my plans and just borrow his cords. I'll return those ends. Yeah, if I make sure all the pieces are there, they'll take them back. I think that's going to be a lot simpler. I can leave that on the trailer, pull those cords out, or his cords out. He's only a mile down the road, so I'm not going to use it a whole heck of a lot, you know, a couple times a year maybe. I just think that's going to be a lot simpler and easier and work out a lot better. So I spent half the morning cutting and splicing that wire and pulling it over here and all that kind of for nothing. But that tends to happen. If you've got an easier, simpler solution, you take it. So we got Dennis's big wire. So his is just the welding part. So it's all that wire there. So the wire that comes off the welder, the welding part, it just goes to this wire. It looks more like string, but that is wire. So we got power going there, goes through all that. And this is the end that we'll be welding on, or with. He didn't have a longer ground wire. He used it in his pig barn, so he could just hook it up kind of anywhere. Then just had the long cord to weld over the whole barn because it's all kind of connected with wire gating. So I made a smaller ground wire, or that wire that I was using. So I had a clamp from our old wire or welder, hooked it on there. Kind of got that wire rigged up with a bolt, and this clamp is right to the welder. So it should work. I'm gonna put a rod in, hook up. This is what I'm gonna be kind of welding on in the barn. We'll see if fire up the generator and see if we can get a spark. in business. It at first there, this clamp was a little too far this way, so like the actual ground wasn't hitting the metal. But it haven't used the arc welder in quite a while since we got that wire feed, but we'll get the hang of it again. It's in the barn. It doesn't gotta be pretty, just gotta hold up. So I think this should work. It's kind of a cluster, but we'll make it work. Throw all the excess wire, that plastic tub. Try to keep it out of the manure a little bit for him. Yeah, throw some tools in there. We'll see if we can fix some stalls. All right, so next day here. Didn't weld nothing up yesterday. By the time I got kind of tools all put on here and stuff, it was about time to get the girls from daycare. So I figure I'll wait till the day because I'm sure this might take a little while. So let's kind of show you what we got to do here. So this stall right here needs to get fixed. Well, it should get replaced, but we're gonna try to fix it. I got a little piece of pipe. I'm thinking it goes over this, so I'm hoping weld the pipe on here, stick this in the other end. It should pick it up. Watch out, girl. So right here is where that stall that busted off is supposed to be. This one, that bottom, we're gonna attempt to weld that on down there. Get out of here. Hey, get. Yeah, that one's busted off, and so yeah, I'm just gonna kind of get these stalls put back together somewhat. Then, since I got everything rigged up, well, if it works, kind of walk this edge here, see what else kind of should get welded together a bit, just to kind of beef it up. Let's see how many cows pull on cords and annoy me and everything else. Yeah, we'll get to work. Alright, you guys all get over there. Get over there. Move. Get over there. Come on. Get. Well, there's the final product for now. This piece here, that pipe didn't fit on it. It's kind of got smashed a bit, so it's too wide. So we just put some straight iron on there and held that on. It's pretty solid. This stuff is so rusty and old. Didn't want to weld the greatest, but it'll work for now. Not really sure why this one's hanging so much lower, but the cows won't mind. They'll still use them. Well, I think that'll be it for this fixing for now. I'm sure in a couple weeks we'll have some more stuff breaking on these stalls, but good for now.